due to the recent censorship on YouTube, I now have to watch my words. In the sense of I could still curse my ass off, but I have to not say the words that are very controversial right now. It has to do with the Second Amendment. I can say school things, you know, and maybe get away with it. I have to act like that character from South Park who couldn't say T in planetarium. Planetarium.
A bone disease, which impedes my ability to pronounce the T in planetarium. That's a pretty weird bone disease.
You know, one of those days when you don't know whether it's going to be a shit or a fart, but you let it rip anyway. The NRA has crazy amounts of money for lobbying the government. And here's how America works. As long as lobbyists have money, their interests will be protected, and whatever the fuck you think or feel doesn't really matter unless you have the money to pay to play, if you know what I'm saying. This was sent to me yesterday night by J.J. Abrams, and it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. In fact, it's so stupid, it made me angry. It's a perfect example of shit journalism at its finest. And frankly, I never thought I'd see the day when I'd say fake news. But this is it. This is actually fake news. Fuck my life. CNN's editor posted something ridiculous. If a possible mass shooter wants to hone his craft, don't hand him a virtual boot camp. That's right. Video games are virtual boot camps. If you've played Call of Duty or Battlefield, you are a hardened veteran of wars. This whole time, I thought I was just a fucknut with a mouse and keyboard or controller. Turns out I'm actually John Rambo. I know exactly what to do with weapons, apparently.
Grenade!
Ah! He's a trained killer. Idea. Fuck! He's a killing machine. The recoil on this shit is insane. Fuck you, you rice eater! Ah!
Oh! Holy shit, he's dead. He's dead. I gotta call his mom now.
Violent video games has turned him into a super soldier.
Find him!
Ah! Even though that's never covered in the video game. But, you know, it's a virtual boot camp, so you're a trained killer, and so am I, apparently. I'm also a witcher. I like the sound of that. I'm going to tell girls on dating websites, I'm a witcher. I make problems go away. And they're like, well, why don't you leave, Geralt of Dushia? The editor's name is Jeremy Bailenson, author of Experience on Demand, What Virtual Reality Is, How It Works, and What It Can Do. Is a founding director of Stanford's Virtual Human Interaction Lab and a professor in the Department of Communication. The views expressed in this commentary are his own. So right there, CNN's already just said, hey, this is this guy's view, we have nothing to do with it. But they posted it anyway. So basically, Dick's Sporting Goods put a ban on assault-style rifles, and Walmart has raised the age for buying guns to the age of 21. Politicians debate the next step. These companies took swift action. Lottie freaking fucking da, like it does anything. But here's where he differs. He feels that virtual reality hardware and software companies which design top-selling video games should follow suit. Virtual reality. What virtual reality? Not even bothering. This guy's a fucking douchebag. How is he writing a book on anything virtual reality? If you've seen virtual reality with Skyrim or Fallout, nothing's real about it. In fact, it's pathetic. You teleport to your next destination. Like, you don't walk, you teleport. Video games have the mandate to be fun, but the companies that create and market them must also be socially and morally aware. They must consider the kinds of experiences they are developing, especially in first-person shooter games. You know, first-person shooter games are all over the world, but you don't see this sort of shit happening in, I don't know, Australia. What's going on there? Why aren't the Australians doing it, my dear friend Jeremy? Why, Jeremy? They have goddamn virtual reality. Why are they not a game to violence with weapons? God, it's so hard not to say what I want to say just because I got in trouble with YouTube recently. There are at least one documented case of a killer using a first-person shooter game to improve his combat skills, according to The Guardian's Norwegian shooter Adrian Berdvik told the courts in 2012 that he used a holographic aiming device in a game, Call of Duty, to develop his target acquisition abilities. You are fucking shitting me, dude. I didn't know that holographic aiming existed in 2012. Wasn't like VR and all of this shit like really catching off like a year ago? How did he have access to this futuristic technology? That's what we need to look into. The fucker is a time lord, Breivik played a two-dimensional game, but virtual reality can take skill acquisition to a new level. Players can look all around the scene instead of just starting at a scene. Handheld devices vibrate to simulate touch. Have you seen virtual reality hand thingies? They look like you're holding on to dildos. Get the fuck out of here, dude. If anything, it teaches you how to jerk off a little better. That's what I think. Most importantly, players use their arms and body to engage in actual combat moves instead of just hitting buttons. As a result, the brain system is engaged. Repeated movement while in virtual reality causes changes in the brain structure, which in turn improves performance in the real world. In other words, virtual reality is the ultimate training machine.
No.
That is actually what this dude wrote. This is what CNN posted. No one looked at this shit because most of the people who probably work at CNN aren't gamers or don't give a flying fuck. No one looked at this and said, we're not posting this, this is garbage. We already have enough far-right motherfuckers running around screaming, fake news, every 5 seconds. Why would we post something that would just confirm what they've been saying? I guess even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. The military has been using virtual reality to train soldiers for decades. Today, everyone from the NFL quarterbacks trying to improve their play to retail employees trying to hone their customer service skills are using virtual reality training to enable an infinite number of mental repetitions. I remember trying to get a job at Sears, I think it was. I'm glad they went out of business. Fuck you, Sears. And I was forced to do their quotation mark virtual reality retail training simulation. It was retarded. It was like a slideshow, and it was pointless. I learned nothing from that. It was unrealistic on every level. Nobody comes to you with a problem and talks to you like a person. People run up on you and start complaining as if you are directly responsible for either A, their incompetence, or B, the item that they bought because they don't have brains enough to use a warranty on it. They'd rather come yell at you because they know you need that shitty ass job and you can't slap them in the face and tell them, sit your dumb ass down. Talking to me like I got no sense, you got no sense. Read the owner's manual, retard. My argument here is not that virtual reality games are going to cause people to become violent, or that the law enforcement or military, for example, shouldn't have access to them. But if a possible mass shooter wants to hone his craft, we shouldn't hand him over-the-counter digital boot camp. And there are steps we can take to strike a balance between fun and safety. This guy is a fucking sage. My God, you know what? I wish they would ban guns. Do you know why? Because then it would just be like mass stabbings would be the new thing. People would find ways to kill people. They'd either put poison in food, they'd take over-the-counter products and make homemade bombs. If somebody's just hell-bent on fucking shit up, you're not gonna stop them. Fuck. What video game was Blackbeard playing? First, let's change the physics of bullets. Think about a frisbee. In order to hit a target straight ahead, one needs to arc into one side to account for its return swing. If virtual reality bullets also travel with a slight curve, then virtual reality shooters would always be pointing away from the target in order to eventually hit it. This learned side aiming would likely carry over into the real world, and people would have trouble hitting targets straight ahead.
Fuck you!
Fucking retarded. This is some of the stupid. This man, he probably has a college degree and a master's in something, and he's fucking stupid. What the fuck person who was deciding one day, you know what, I'm gonna kill some people? Wouldn't they go to a shooting range? Don't most of these people who like collect guns and do all this shit go to like a shooting gallery and hone their skill there? Like really? Put 2 and 2 to fuck together. A more suitable example can be seen in paintball, which is pellets that move slower than real bullets and substantially slightly change the way shooters aim the guns based on gravity, wind, and other factors. Second, guns in games shouldn't have the mechanics of real ones. You shouldn't hold a realistic weighted gun shaped object and put a trigger in virtual reality. Instead, to operate a virtual gun, you should flick your wrist or bend your elbow. Before you discount this idea, think about the wildly entertaining types of weapons one typically sees in superhero movies. Guns that are far too big for normal people to carry, for example. This way, muscle memory for virtual guns would be abstract. A player can log hundreds of hours as a virtual shooter and be utterly perplexed when picking up an actual gun. Yeah, I used to pretend I was a samurai as a kid and shit, and I'd use sticks and whatnot. Then one day I picked up a sword, and you know what? There wasn't much of a difference. Yeah, it was heavier, but you got used to it real quick. So the fundamentals were there. This is all just retarded. This is asinine. I don't even know why I'm reading this. Was he paid for this? How long is this article? Thank God it's almost over. I wish they enabled comments because I'd love to see what people have to say to this moron. Another change that makes sense, and I'm happy that most, though not all, virtual reality games are adopting this strategy, is to have the targets in game be non-human. For example, virtual shooters can aim at robots. Robots move and are shaped differently from humans, but designs can be oh my god. I don't even want to read this. It's so stupid. The animation to make it move much faster. Are you what? But designers can animate them to move much faster than humans, or to have skills that humans don't, like flying. Hence, virtual reality would teach skills that would not work as well with aiming at people. Are you stupid? Alright, this is how dumb his argument is. Let's say that this is all true and there's some truth to it. We all know it doesn't. But let's play the devil's advocate and say that this is true. Wouldn't teaching someone to aim at something way faster make them 10 times more dangerous? If a robot could zip around and a motherfucker could pinpoint and shoot that shit, wouldn't a slow-ass human running be way easier to shoot? In fact, it'd be so easy the motherfucker could do it with his eyes closed, like he's in the goddamn Matrix. Then what would you say? Maybe we should teach, like you would want someone to aim at targets way slower than humans so they'd be confused by the speed. You're a fucking idiot, dude. This is ridiculous. This is journalism. This is why nobody respects news outlets anymore. This is why Fox News is a joke. This is why CNN is a joke. Everything that's going on in the major news outlets is such garbage, such perpetuated shit, designed with more subterfuge and lack of any real research before typing on a fucking keyboard, that these assholes lose all credibility with anyone that has some semblance of cognitive ability. This is disgusting and pathetic. I just don't know who even signed off and said that this is a good article to put on CNN. In a perfect world, perhaps we wouldn't have virtual shooters at all. Yeah, in a perfect world, we'd all be completely fulfilled. We'd have the girlfriends or boyfriends we wanted. We had the jobs we wanted. We'd be able to travel all over the world and enjoy ourselves. Maybe we wouldn't have really shit, mediocre jobs that force us to live from paycheck to paycheck. Maybe in some utopia, which will never exist because of the goddamn oligarchy being completely and utterly disgustingly depraved when it comes to making money, and capitalists just capitalizing so much on the system that they're ruining it, that people need something to let off steam. Frankly, for as many people that play violent video games, it pretty much proves, even the studies show, I'm not even going to look for them because we all know they exist, it proves that the average person understands the difference between fantasy and reality. The people who do this shit are going to do it any way you slice it, whether video games existed or not. Murder, killing, rape, all this other shit has been going on long before video games existed. I'm pretty sure when books and fantasy novels came out, the same shit happened like 100 years ago. Oh, these new Oscar Wilde books are too scintillating. People want to have sex in premarital situations. No, no, no. Oh my god, this music. I don't agree with it. It's making the children crazy. We have to put legislation against it because the music of Twisted Sister is making my son wear panties. No, no. That's what we're doing with now. The difference is the NRA has the cash to make sure that the people in power don't change shit. So now they need some sort of scapegoat to keep the average cud-chewing sheeple in line. Well, who do we blame for all of this? It's the video games and movies. I knew Black Panther was bad. Ooh! Ooh! I knew I shouldn't have let Jimmy play Call of Duty. It's poisoned his little mind. It's not my fault that I'm a bad parent and I don't pay attention to my children and I don't spend time with them or take interest in their hobbies. It's not my fault. I'm very busy. And if you're too busy for kids, you shouldn't have had them. Let's skip most of the shit that this numbnut has to say because I don't even want to read it. It's so dumb. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that violent video games are a protected form of free speech. And for years, the top-selling video games have been first-person shooters. Virtual reality is on the cusp of becoming a mainstream consumer product. And every year, content becomes more and more realistic. Luckily for the designing companies, they have a little more time to think through some of the potential negative consequences of what they're creating. Since Mortal Kombat hit the market in the early 90s, it took the focus off of rock music being the catalyst of all evil that corrupted America's youth to shifting towards violent video games, giving the corrupt politician, the social, political advocate for change, an easy platform to jump on, garner themselves some hero points with uninformed parents or adults or out of touch old people, and create a movement behind themselves to do nothing more than push their own career at acquiring money, fame, and fortune off of the back of misnomers, misinformation, lies, and subterfuge. Right now, we are once again headed back to that same pointless era. It's as if America is regressing yet again. Something that was a trend in the 90s has reared its head for a second time. And it makes absolutely no sense. All the progression and moving forward that the video game industry has made, and once again we're back to where we started from. People placing blame on the easiest target possible. Instead of being an advocate for real change or reform, we'll just sit there and blame violent video games for all of America's woes. And we'll ignore the statistics, we'll ignore scientific fact, and we'll ignore the fact that other countries that have access to violent video games don't seem to have as many mass shootings. What is the fucking correlation? Nah, it's those damn video games. And frankly, I say fuck it. CNN, you have once again lowered your stake in my eyes. I have less respect for CNN than I did before. I mean, CNN and Fox News were pretty even on the shit snack storm, but CNN has got a little lower with this piece. If you see anything written by this guy, Jeremy, whatever the hell his name is, I wouldn't give it much validity. He is now on the level of Michael Pachter as far as video game knowledge, if you ask me. Frankly, it's time I got a job in journalism, because if this is what we have to offer, I would be amazing. All I have to do is quit cursing. Oh no, who am I kidding? They'd kill me. I'm no Hunter S. Thompson. It's not the 70s. I run around telling the truth. I'll be dead. And on that note, I'm the hell out of here. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Smash that like button. Smash it a couple times for violent video games. Press F for respect, homie. You feel me? Remember that I have a Discord, a Twitch, a Twitter, and the more of you that follow me on all social media, the louder my voice gets in an industry full of people who have no problem kissing ass, sucking up, and all this other crap. By the way, a review channel is in the works. It's on the way. Video game reviews. It doesn't quite have a name yet. It's not settled. I'm pushing towards no shilling or 2 shillings, something like that, to be funny in the playoff of what's going on. We will buy all the major video game releases, including indie pieces. We won't take any samples from anyone, and we'll give honest reviews. And we won't end up like Total Biscuit. That's what people want. So I'm out of here. Oh yeah, don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm for real. The more of you behind me, the less likely I'll be banned on Twitch. Alright, let's keep me out there. The area of what?
Of the monster.
Oh.
The spider's right up ahead.
I ain't fuck with that spider.